dark, milk, white, bittersweet, ruby, smooth and creamy. Today I'm going to go over some information about the much beloved chocolate. Some things that maybe you didn't even know about chocolate. Now, my love for chocolate began at a very early age. I used to go to my grandparents' house, and my grandmother and grandfather both had their own little secret stashes of chocolate. My grandmother's favorites were M&Ms and the Hershey's Kisses, and my grandfather's was a solid chocolate bar. But I guess not much of a secret since I got to enjoy it with them. But then also I would bake with my great grandmother like chocolate walnut cookies or chocolate chip cookies, something along those lines. However, my knowledge about chocolate and the production of chocolate and some of the things that are involved with chocolate come from books and articles I've read, or being able to go to the M&M factory or Ethel M's chocolate factory there in Las Vegas, where we've gotten to actually see the process from beginning to end and got to be part of it, and then also got to enjoy some of the fruits of our labor. Now I'm going to talk about three different things today. First is going to be the history of chocolate. Secondly is going to be the science of chocolate. And third is going to be the health benefits of chocolate. Yes, there really are health benefits to chocolate, but we'll get to the end and we'll talk about that. Now, when we think about chocolate, a lot of times we're thinking about something like this, maybe some Hershey syrup, maybe a chocolate bar, maybe s'mores, or chocolate cake, something like along those lines. But let's go ahead and get started and dive into the history of chocolate and see how it's didn't start off quite how we think of chocolate nowadays. So, chocolate started in about 3000 BC, and it was actually used as currency. So you had the cocoa bean that they were actually exchanging for goods. And it's sort of like how we do with going to Walmart. We exchange $5 or $10. They would do the same thing. They had so many beans for this, so many beans for that. It wasn't until about 1800 BC when it started to be used as a hot, sort of bitter, spicy drink. But it was only for the rich, the powerful, that could actually enjoy this. It was very, very expensive to produce. In fact, Jamie Kiefer Alkick exclaimed in National Geographic for Kids in 2021, "Cha-ching! The Mayan, another group of ancient people from Mesoamerica, start using cocoa beans as money. Archaeologists have even found counterfeit beans made of clay that people tried to pass off as the real deal." Counterfeit beans. Who would have thought? She also stated that in 1519, Hernan Cortez commented that the Aztec ruler Montezuma II would drink 50 cups of spicy cocoa a day. In 1528, he brought cocoa back to Spain, where the Spaniards added sugar to the mix. Now, I already said that I love cocoa, I love chocolate, but 50 cups a day, that's even a lot for me. Now, like I said, it was very much for the rich, the powerful, that kind of thing. Even when it came over to Europe, there was exclusive chocolate houses. So these chocolate houses, they would charge a cover charge. It was more for your elite, your socialites of the time, where they would get together and they would talk about current affairs, ideas, socialize. Sort of like how we have our Starbucks nowadays, except would you pay a cover charge to go to Starbucks? Probably not. But they paid a cover charge to get in there. In fact, at the time, they had what was called, they had coffee houses at the time. But these coffee houses were more for your working class or lower class citizens. And the form of cocoa that they had there was very, very watered down, just so more people could enjoy it. And it was cost effective that way for them. So it wasn't until the late 1800s when J.S. Fry and Sons, who's now owned by Cadbury, actually started adding more cocoa butter to the mix to help reduce the cost. And then in the late 1800s, they produced the first chocolate bar, similar to what we know as of today. Now, secondly, we're going to talk about the science of chocolate. And there really is a science behind the production of it. It's not something that you can just go to the store and go buy back then. There's a process to making it. So from seed to harvest. This is what the cocoa bean actually looks like. Doesn't look much like chocolate to me. So you need four things at least to produce chocolate. So you need the perfect temperature, you need the right amount of rainfall, you need the perfect soils conditions, so it's going to be somewhere between 6.5 and 7.0 pH level, and fourthly, you need nutrition for the plant. So what they would do is they would harvest the seed, they'd split it, lay it in the sun, cover it over with leaves, let it ferment for a week, and this would actually bring up the flavor of the bean. And then they would let it dry for a week. Now, drying time is crucial because if it's dried too long, it can become very bitter and acidic. But if it's not dried long enough, then it could be very poor quality and even have product damage, and then it's useless. So very much something that has to be done. In fact, Emmanuel O'Hearn Ofonka in 2016 says, over the last 50 years, much of the research into cocoa bean fermentation, drying, and processing has been aimed at solving certain quality and flavor problems. Now, the third thing we're going to talk about, and I promised this in the beginning, the health benefits of chocolate. There are medicinal and nutritional values to eating chocolate. In fact, according to Alan Crozier in the book Teas, Cocoa, and Coffee, he says that foods containing cocoa have been thought of as indulgent, having negative health benefits due to sugar, fats, and calories. However, there is emerging evidence that suggests that cocoa has several health benefits because of the high concentration of flavonoids. Now, there's been several ecological studies that have actually shown links between lower blood pressure and lower CVD risk. In fact, the Stockholm Heart Epinology study suggests that moderate and regular use of chocolate will actually help to reduce certain cardiovascular issues, including heart attack. Excuse me. Now, cocoa has very high antioxidants in it and is also an anti-inflammatory. So, in conclusion, we talked about the history of chocolate. We've talked about the science of chocolate. And we've talked about the health benefits of chocolate. S'mores, aroma, family and friends, decadent desserts, enjoyment. All we need is love. But a little bit of chocolate now and then doesn't hurt. Charles M. Schulz.